we are having a discussion, a very serious discussion about this situation. What happened in Mississippi with two black men? What happened there was not only a shame upon the American people, it's not only twisted, depraved, but it is at a level where black men have to wonder, why are these stories not made public more often? Because it happens a lot more often than what you see on TV. A lot more often than what you see on TV. 6 white officers, some of whom call themselves the Goon Squad, plead guilty to state charges in what happened to 2 black men. 6 white officers. We have an update to the case out of Mississippi. 6 white officers, some of whom call themselves the Goon Squad, have pled guilty to state charges because they took turns doing stuff to black men that was disgusting. 4 former officers, 4 former deputies, actually 5. 5 former deputies in total, including 1 police officer, have been charged in the incident. So, we're going to have a discussion about this, man. We're going to have a discussion about this. In Mississippi, there were 6 white officers, some of whom call themselves the Goon Squad, who pled guilty to state charges because they did some pretty twisted stuff to black men. Now, we had the full names of all 6 of these officers, and their pleas come Monday after the former officers, 5 of whom are Rankin County Sheriff's Office deputies, and also a 6th officer for the Richland Police Department in Mississippi, have pled guilty this month to federal charges in connection to what happened in January. The former deputies are Christian Dedman, Hunter Elward, Brett McAlpin, Jeffrey Middleton, and Daniel Opdyke. And the ex-police officer is Joshua Hartfield. And Dedman was charged with also home invasion, and Elward was charged with home invasion and aggravated assault. And now McAlpin, Middleton, and Opdyke and Hartfield each face an additional charge of first-degree obstruction of justice. Now, these 6 officers, they took turns essaying 2 black men. Seriously. If you're unaware of what happened here, that's what happened here. They took turns. The officers didn't have a warrant when they entered a home. There were 2 black men who were caring for an elderly white neighbor, and some white neighbors called the police on those 2 black men, thinking that they were home intruders or they were going to abduct that senior citizen person in their home, and that was not the case. The police showed up without a warrant. They immediately assaulted these men. They used all kinds of toys that were, let's just say, from certain stores. They poured chocolate on them. They took turns. And it was what many in the black community refer to as buck breaking. It's when you attempt to, it's basically when you attempt to humiliate a black man in a very twisted way. And these 2 black men are Michael Jenkins and Eddie Parker. And Eddie Parker said he enjoyed seeing the walk of shame during the plea hearing Monday of the officers when they had to walk into court. You know, at one point, these 2 black men were treated as perpetrators. In fact, I would argue they were treated worse than that. They were treated like animals. And it's very nice, very refreshing to see these officers get their just desserts. You know, I'm gonna follow this story to the very end, but this was buck breaking. They tried that upon these black men. Get a good look at all their faces. Just shameful. This is why I can't support any political party, because no political party wants to solve this. Nobody wants to get rid of qualified immunity. Nobody wants to defund the police. Nobody wants to fix these people. They just want to give them more money so they can continue to do stuff like this. It's absurd, man. It really is. It really is. So again, I want to give you these guys' names again. I want you guys to hear their names again, man. Former deputies Christian Dedman, Hunter Elward, Brett McAlpin, Jeffrey Middleton, and Daniel Opdyke, and ex-police officer Joshua Hartfield were all charged with conspiracy to commit obstruction of justice, according to a news release from the Mississippi Attorney General's office. Additionally, Dedman was charged with home invasion, and Elward was charged with home invasion and aggravated assault. The release says McAlpin, Middleton, and Opdyke and Hartfield each face an additional charge of first-degree obstruction of justice. All six appeared with their attorneys in Rankin County Court Monday, shackled at their wrists and wearing prison jumpsuits. The names of the county jails in which they are being held were covered by duct tape. Former officers pleaded guilty August 3rd to federal charges in the case, in which U.S. prosecutors said the former officers kicked down a door of a home in Braxton, Mississippi, where the black men were living, and assaulted them for 2 hours. The officers did not have a warrant, and some called themselves the Goon Squad because of their willingness to use excessive force and not report it, according to a federal charging document. The 6 officers were charged with a combined 13 felonies in connection with the, oh my gosh, horrible stuff that happens to those black men on that night. These guys use toys on these black men. Toys, like toys, the kinds that you get from your stores, the special stores. Poured surf on them. There was a lot of sick stuff that happened here, man. They used slurs. It was buck breaking. They waterboarding, tasing, kicking them, assaulting them. One of them shot one of them in the mouth. Yeah. And there's no one in their right mind who's gonna say this wasn't motivated because of the color of those black men's skin. Nobody in their right mind. Wow. I mean, I've seen some stuff, man, but this, every time I do an update about this case, it just, the more I think about it, the more disturbed I become. Like, how could you do this? Who raised you? Like, what was, like, explain to me, what was the thought process? What was the thought, like, what was the necessity of this? I have to understand that. Like, how did this aid you in pursuing justice? How does this aid you in pursuing justice? What did this do to make the streets safer? I need to understand that for myself. What did you trying to buck break 2 black men? What did that do to make the streets safer? It's just pure evil. It's the embodiment of evil. It is everything that evil is. This is everything that evil is. This is it. When you intentionally target 2 individuals because of the color of their skin so that you can take out some sick pleasure, that is evil. I don't care if the victim was man, woman, some other gender. I don't care what gender. That's evil. That is not just white supremacy. That is the embodiment of evil. You deserve, each of these men should go to prison for 500 years. 500 years. 1,000 years piece. They should get life plus 1,000 years. Because I'm going to tell you, this isn't even the most unique case of its type. Here, you think it's unique that police officers target black men? Let's actually get into it. Philip Nordo, black men. This is a Philadelphia police officer. His name is Philip Nordo. Philip Nordo was a Philadelphia police officer who, for decades, right, for a long time, he was targeting black people, black men in particular, and essaying them. He was threatening to put charges on them or to accelerate their charges. He was doing that, right? Ex-Philly cop sentenced to decades in prison for essaying witnesses and informants. This man's name is Philip Nordo. Philip Nordo, right? Let me go ahead and show you. So, Philip Nordo is a former Philadelphia homicide detective who was found guilty of essaying witnesses and informants, and he was sentenced to decades in prison. Philip Nordo was given 24 and a half to 49 years behind bars by a Philadelphia judge after being found guilty in June of essaying, stalking, official oppression, theft by deception, and related crimes. The theft charges related to him stealing crime reward money in the unaliving of an off-duty officer and sending it to one of his victims. Nordo was a 20-year veteran of the Philadelphia Police Department before he was fired in 2017. This guy was on duty for 20 years. 20 years! His conviction comprised dozens of cases and has already led to exonerations, Philadelphia District Attorney Larry Krasner said. A 2019 grand jury report alleged Nordo groomed his male victims during ongoing investigations and engaged in conduct to make the men more susceptible to his essaying and coercive behavior. Now, I want to show you something real quick. I want to press, hold on. I want to show you something real quick. We need to search something real quick. We need to find something on the page. Let me just look down. So I want to see if I can find that real quick. Where is it? What? He asked incarcerated sources to tell him when inmates who were homosexual were to be released so that he could get at them. So he was targeting men. Yeah. A lot of them black men. I can go ahead and tell you that because I've researched the Philip Nordo case several times. A lot of them were black men. Yeah. It is not uncommon. In fact, you think that's uncommon? I just reported on something. This is Vancouver police officer. Taser. A Vancouver police officer in Washington State has been charged with assault. This happened not that long ago because I just reported on it. Vancouver officer charged with assault after threatening taser on man's groin. So she was going to use a taser on a black man's lower parts. Buck breaking. Andrea Mendoza of the Vancouver Police Department here in Washington State, that's what she was going to do. Against a black man. Yeah. So, as you can see, this whole buck breaking thing that police officers try to black men, it is not unusual. It is not unheard of. It is a very common thing. Very common. The only reason why it's not bigger news, the only reason why more people haven't caught on to it is because people, for some reason, for whatever reason, they don't want to be honest about it. Because, it is truly a pattern when someone like me can think of that stuff up the top of my head. A lot of times, disproportionately, when officers do stuff like this, it is black male victims they target. Now, they do target a lot of black women, don't get me wrong. But when they do target men, for some reason, they enjoy targeting black men. I don't know what it is. I don't know how to tell you. I don't know why they do this. I can tell you it is a pattern, though. It does happen quite often. I don't know why. I can't explain it. I don't know why. I have no idea why. But it's at the point now where it's just, How can anyone defend this? How can anyone defend this? Like, you would have to be a predator by yourself to even defend this. That is absurd that some people out there will still defend cops, but that's just who some people are. They're hopelessly racist and you can't change it. It's a very common thing for police officers to do this to black men, though, because most police officers, let me go ahead and tell you, most of them are probably deviants. People like that who seek powerful positions, not saying all of them are like that, but there's a higher likelihood of it. Hey, I like to remind you, even Jeffrey Dahmer, he wanted to be a cop at one point. A lot of people don't remember that. So this one here may not seem like a police officer story, but it absolutely is. Because if you remember, there was a video of a black man being arrested in Applebee's, right? And the former Applebee's manager fired after video shows police striking black men. So there was a black man in Kenosha, Wisconsin, who was assaulted and arrested falsely by Kenosha police because the police were called and they were looking for a hit and run suspect. And the actual suspects, they were in the restroom of the Applebee's, and one of the employees just pointed out an innocent black man and his wife, and you know, they were sitting down and having just a normal meal. And the police officers assaulted this man. This man had a child in his arms. They took the child from him. They beat this man up and then arrested him for no reason. Well, that Applebee's manager has lost her job. And to be honest with you, I don't feel bad for her. Jennifer Harris, who had been working with the restaurant for over 10 years, believes she was wrongfully terminated. She expressed her disappointment in the conduct of the police officers during the incident. Well, maybe next time some of these businesses who want to call the police on people all too often, and they find it funny because guess what? Oh, it's the customer who's going to get hurt. It's not going to be me. Well, you know what? I remember Elijah McClain. I also remember Karen Garner. I remember Cyrus Carmack Belton. I remember all the people who business owners had no issue going after. So you know what? If you lose your job because one of your employees or you yourself, because I think that's what happened there, Miss Harris, you call the police. If you do that, well, I don't feel sorry for you. Miss Harris? An innocent black man in your restaurant was assaulted by police officers because one of your employees pointed him out unjustly, and therefore someone has to pay for that. So sad that it was you. You think that, oh, that's unfair. Well, pretty sure the black man thought it was unfair too. So maybe this will teach the next one to hesitate before you point someone out and put a target on their back when you know you live under a system of white supremacy, and you know white supremacists in law enforcement target us all the time. So I don't feel bad for her. There's plenty of other jobs out there. Maybe next time you'll be a little bit more careful, or maybe next time you will train your employees a little bit better. I don't feel bad for you whatsoever. So, a Calhoun County correctional officer has been arrested and fired for stealing Pokemon cards. Gotta catch him all. Oh my God. Josh Hardy in Alabama. This man is a correctional officer, and he's been arrested and fired because he was stealing Pokemon cards. This man said, listen, I'm going to catch them all by any means necessary, yo. My man said, I'm gonna be like Team Rocket, blasting away, yo. I'm taking all the cars. I'm gonna have the biggest car collection. So a Calhoun County correctional officer was fired after being arrested for stealing Pokemon cards Saturday evening. The Calhoun County Sheriff's Office said Josh Hardy finished his shift at the county jail and then went to a Walmart store in Oxford, still dressed in his uniform. While inside the store, the Sheriff's Office said the store's loss prevention team reportedly observed Hardy opening multiple packs of Pokemon cards and placing individual cards in his pockets. The Sheriff's Office said Hardy then began to leave the store without paying for the items and was confronted by the store's loss prevention officers. Man, oh man. So this officer of the law, he's stealing Pokemon cards. He was trying to catch them all, y'all. So you want to be a master of Pokemon? To catch them, it's my real test. That was his real test, to catch him, yo. Oh, man, that's great. Blue Lives Matter. Is this your man's? Oh, my God. Oh, I love it. Oh, that is amazing. How are you an officer of the law? You get arrested for stealing Pokemon cards. My man was trying to catch them all, y'all. My man said he gonna be a Pokemon master. Yo, my man said he gonna get all the legendaries, yo. Oh man, I love it. I love it. When the man thought he was Ash Ketchum, but he was actually Team Rocket. Oh man. Blue Lives Matter. Is this your man's? Is this your man's Blue Lives Matter? I'm just saying. Gotta catch them all. Oh, that is amazing. That is wonderful. That is beautiful, isn't it? That is just, mwah, the chef's kiss. Mwah, 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 mwah. Oh, goodness. Man. So, we have some interesting things to discuss here. A former sheriff's office employee in Tennessee and a man who's in the Tennessee National Guard has been picked up on CP charges. This man's name is Robert Reed. Robert Reed was picked up on CP charges. He's in the National Guard and a former Middle Tennessee Sheriff's Office employee, meaning he's sheriff's deputy. This guy works in the sheriff's office. You know? Sheriff's office. See, when they say it's a sheriff's office employee, they mean he worked in the sheriff's office as a law enforcement officer. That's what they mean. See? But this also shows you, man, that just because someone's got a badge or a nice job or benefits, or you think they wouldn't mess with a kid, that does not mean you trust them. That does not mean you trust them. As you can see, it can be anybody. This is why when you're out there, you got your kids out there, you make sure you keep an eye on everybody. You don't make exceptions, man. Everybody gets scrutinized. Everybody. When your kid goes to freaking school, maybe sometimes show up. And they just say, oh, you got to make an appointment. To say, okay, fine. I'm going to make an appointment, but make sure I can come by whatever I want. Make sure. You know, peanut galleries out there always want to derail the conversation because they're probably predators themselves. Because why in the world would you ever want to derail this? But make sure you guys share this stream. Make sure you guys share this broadcast because we got some more stories to cover. But this is interesting, though, right? I want you to know this very unique pattern. They always say sheriff's office employee. Notice they have no problem throwing out the National Guard and the Army. They have no problem. They have no problem throwing the National Guard under the bus. They got a problem when you link it to law enforcement. Do you understand how much power that is, right? That shows you that law enforcement is even more honored and revered than our military. This is why many military veterans don't like cops, because they understand that just like that black army lieutenant, I think it was that was either in Virginia or West Virginia. He was a first lieutenant. He was pepper sprayed, arrested for no reason, assaulted for no reason at all. None. No reason. That man barely got any kind of justice at all, actually. But had that soldier assault that cop like that, it would have been a completely different story. And so look at that headline. They have no issue. They are trying to conceal that this guy worked for the Coffee County Sheriff's Office as a sheriff's deputy. They got a problem with mentioning that, right? They don't want to mention that. But they will mention that he was in the National Guard. So they have no problems throwing the National Guard under the bus. They don't want to mention what this man did for the sheriff's office. He was a sheriff's deputy. They don't want to mention that. They want to mention though that he was a soldier, which means that the mainstream media, small media, this is Fox 17 here. They have no issue throwing soldiers and our military under the bus in favor of cops. And even if you don't like both, you can at least respect the fact that even soldiers have noticed this, and we don't like it either. Veterans don't. So not only are we exposing another member of the blue here, but this is also the very headline. It is much deeper than what you thought, right? Because what it shows is whenever you get a sheriff's deputy or a police officer who's arrested for these types of crimes, or if they ever worked in those fields, right? What will happen is when the news media, when they want to protect law enforcement or the big blue shield, they will say things like, "Oh, it's a sheriff's office employee," or a police or a police department employee. Well, yeah, police officers work for the police department. Yeah, sheriff's deputies work for the sheriff's department. Yeah, they are a sheriff's deputy. Give me the actual job title. But they blocked this out. They actually blocked that out, right? They blocked that out. Why do you think that is? They did that to protect law enforcement over the military. They have no problem saying he's a soldier. They got a problem when you say he's a sheriff's deputy, a former sheriff's deputy. See, that changes things a little bit, doesn't it? See. That's an issue, man. That's a big problem for me. That's a big problem for me. So, here's another story here. A former Pittsburgh County police officer has been indicted because he allegedly essayed a woman doing a traffic stop. We find out that Jeffrey Smith Jr. allegedly pulled over a woman, turned off his body camera and dash cam during the stop, and then grabbed the passenger of the vehicle. And he allegedly essayed someone. He was indicted by a federal grand jury. If convicted, this guy could face up to 40 years in prison for violating the victim's civil rights during the stop and 20 years for each count of obstructing justice. This man pulled over someone, turned off his body camera, turned off his dash camera. He knew exactly what he was going to do. He was getting into position. He didn't want anyone to see. He wanted people to not see the true face of law enforcement. he didn't have his way with the victim. I want you to imagine what's going through this victim's mind. You've been indoctrinated your entire life to believe that law enforcement officers protect you, that they are heroes like Law and Order SVU and so many other things, put them out to be. But then you have this happen. Not only are you a victim, you're now confused. You are not only confused, you are confused about everything that you've ever been told. You have not only been lied to by this officer who claims to serve and protect you, you've been lied to you by probably parents, probably other loved ones, significant others. It's a different thing when you're a victim of law enforcement when it comes to these types of crimes. And to answer your question, Sketchy Ken, have you covered Andrea Mendoza from Vancouver, from Vancouver, Washington? Yes, I have, and I just covered her again during this actual program here. I mentioned her because I wanted to mention the pattern of law enforcement officers essaying black men. Yeah, because of the 6 white officers that were just admitted to what they did to those 2 black men. But I will briefly go back over that though, because that is something that is important. Again, like if you don't know about that, what happened there, guys. So I covered a case earlier, and about a Vancouver police officer named Andrea Mendoza. Andrea Mendoza works in Washington State as a police officer, and she took a taser to a black man's lower parts because she suspected him of being a theft suspect, and she's pled not guilty to assault. So I'm the first person in the media that really released her photo, because if you go back to my original video and you check the archives, I was the first person to put out her photo because I had to go out and find it because the mainstream media wasn't putting it out there, because I was the first person. Yeah, I think I was the first guy. Because this photo here came from the same photo. It's a crop photo of the photo that I actually found. So because it was her arresting I believe a woman, and she was walking through a parking lot, and this officer Andrea Mendoza of the Vancouver Police Department escorts a suspected shoplifter into a patrol car October 12th, 2022 at the Fred Meyer store in Cascade Park. Mendoza is facing 4th-degree assault, a gross misdemeanor, after she was captured on video threatening to use a taser on the lower parts of a suspected shoplifter in May, and that man was a black man. It's a black man. This guy, this woman stopped a black man who she suspected of being a shoplifter. Now, mind you, you are innocent until proven guilty. She put a taser, held a taser, threatened to use a taser on a man's lower parts. What legitimate police purpose does that have? Especially after he's already surrendered. This man is seen on video saying, "You got it. I give up." He gave up. He verbally surrendered not once but twice. For what legitimate police purpose do you do that? For what legitimate police purpose do you do that? And the police guild, right? They're criticizing the prosecutor's office for even charging her. For even charging her. It's just, but again, you need to understand there's a rich history of law enforcement officers doing this in this country. It's not just that it's racial, it's that it is racially targeted specifically at black men. I'm not saying that there are officers who target black women. There certainly are. But in terms of this particular instance, the buck breaking stuff, they do this to black men for a reason. It's for some people, it is empowering. They see black men as these big, strong people, and so if I can conquer them, if I can just be over them, I'm powerful now. And so you will get women in law enforcement who will typically abuse a black man because it's what gets them going. Otherwise, you have to explain to me, why would you do this? What legitimate police purpose does this serve? Why? Wow, that is like you have to just think to yourself the levels mentally someone has to go to even go there, right? The levels people have to go to even go there. The levels people have to go to even go there. To even go there. Why? Just why? It's just, it makes you realize a lot of things. It makes you realize a lot of things. Prosecutors appealing no prison time for ex-cop convicted of essaying 2 girls. So this cop, he may get no prison time because he essayed 2 girls, and apparently in this country, that's okay so long as you have a badge. It's okay, apparently. Apparently, Eric Grometz pleaded guilty in January to 3 counts of criminal essay of someone who's under the age of 18 from 2015 to 2022. And this guy, apparently, he got slapped on the wrist because Scott County prosecutors are appealing a judge's decision to sentence a former New Ulm police officer to 25 years of probation after he pleaded guilty to essaying 2 girls. This guy was given 25 years probation. He will not spend a day in jail. This comes out of Minnesota. This comes out of Minnesota. Now, mind you, I want to remind you, people like me cover stories like this all the time, right? This officer, I guarantee you, has a social media page. I guarantee you he does not get the hate, the critiques, the criticism, the lectures that I get on a regular basis, right? This is why I don't take criticism. It's just, this man's getting 25 years probation. 25 years probation. He essayed 2 girls. 2 girls. Those were 2 girls. From 2015 to 2022. He's getting 25 years probation, and now prosecutors are trying to fight it. I was a victim of people like this. Do you understand the rage I feel? I will do everything in my power, but I have no say. I have no power. And that's the part that keeps me up at night. That's the part that bothers me the most. This is why the rage towards cops, it never dies with me. It never goes away. This man's gonna get 25 years probation. There's two little girls whose lives are forever changed. Do you know the actual stats of people unaliving themselves when they're victims? Do you know the actual stats on that? Do you know the stats of abuse of substances? Do you know some of the stats when it comes to some of those people losing weight by alternative means? You know what I mean. This man forever changed the lives of 2 girls. And there was a judge out there, Judge Allison Kriebel. Let's go look up Judge Allison Kriebel. I want to put your face because I think Judge Allison Kriebel is also a predator. That's the only reason why you would let a predator walk free on probation. So the Minnesota Judicial Branch, Allison Kriebel. Here we go. Let's make this bigger. I want to make this bigger. I want to make this bigger. I want people to see her face. Allison Kriebel. Judge Allison Kriebel, appointed, elected March 22nd, 2002 by Governor Jesse Ventura, elected in 2004, 2010, 2016, and 2022. Current term expires January 2029. So Allison Kriebel apparently thinks that it's okay to give a police officer who essayed not one but two girls for 7 years, 25 years probation. I think everyone out there should let this judge know it is not okay to let a police officer who essays not one but two girls, it is not okay to give him probation. We, the American people, find that disgusting. And I guarantee you, Allison Kriebel, if you check, she's probably a predator herself. That's probably the reason why she let him walk. Otherwise, explain to me, how in the world do you have a judge let a police officer walk with 25 years probation? Look at this. I want you to see this. I want you to see who Blue Lives Matter is defending. Right? Look at this. The prosecutors are trying to appeal the no prison time sentence for Eric Grommetz, who pled guilty. He pled guilty. He said he did it. He said he did it. And they're giving this man 25 years probation after he admitted to essaying two girls for 7 years. For 7 years, this man was preying on girls. For 7 years. A law enforcement officer, and I got scumbags out there who will dare hear me criticize cops and don't get the point. It's not the cops that I hate so much. It's the fact of how we treat them, how we let them get away with anything they want, even targeting children, for God's sakes. I report on stories like this all the time. All the time. It seems like every week, a story like this. Every single week, a story like this. I'm tired of reporting those stories like this with no justice for the victims. It ain't about me. It's about them girls, man. And I know for some people, it's about social media. It's about being, entertained, about watching, news, watching content. It's not. The only reason why I got into this because of what happened to me, Brenda Bryant, and some high school girls in Columbia, South Carolina. And it wasn't so much what happened to me, is that I understood what it was like to be a victim and to be ignored and have no one believe you, and have the very cops who are responsible or didn't even help you be heralded as heroes. I know what that's like. And now they do too. They didn't choose that. They didn't choose this, man. Where is the DOJ? Where is the DOJ for this stuff? I mean, clearly at this point, the DOJ has to step in. My God. I'm doing a story like this every single week. 25 years probation. Wow. 25 years probation. How you doing, Jess? I love you, Jess. I know we had disagreement, but Jess, you know you my boo though. Sister girl, Jess, like, and if anyone speaks bad about you, listen, um, Willie Green, to all my black women, I'm sorry. I went at somebody, but it's just you start to get my frustration now. It's just, where is the DOJ? But I love you, sister girl, Jess. Though when I see you, I love you. And by the way, I was gonna do I want to stream with my son, but I can't obviously because it's like TikTok's not gonna let me. Um, but I did want to do something like interesting with that. But I want to do another Black people kind of news, and there's gonna be some reparation stuff, so you might want to catch that later. I'm gonna do that later though. Maybe a little bit when you guys can actually catch up with me, man, because I don't want to just catch you guys during the day. It's during like an actual work day. It's not even 5 yet here, so I want to catch you guys a little bit later when you guys have gotten your dinner, you gotten your hair did, you got everything else, and I want to get you guys a new Black people kind of news. So anyways, guys, thank you so much for joining me. Sister girl Jess, once again, as always, you are a pleasure. Resist tyranny, Egypt, no last name. Everybody who joined me, Ivan, much love. Horns up, peace out, good night, and good luck.